What is the number one AI stock of 2025? Without a doubt, it is Palantir. This stock has had an incredible run in 2023, 2024, and this year. I can't think of another stock that has performed better than Palantir in the AI space. Now, tonight they're reporting earnings. I'm going to tell you what the charts are suggesting might happen. I'm going to give you the implied volatility, which is smart money's calculation as to what is the price range going to be so that you'll be prepared. This is not one that you want to bet against because it's proven that it can continue to climb. And on that point, let me just highlight where the options are sitting today. They are slightly skewed towards a bullish move. The put to call ratio is about 0.90 to 1, which means there's slightly more call positioning for this earnings that we're getting today. And the expected move for the day, which is measured in the cost of the premium of the options as seen in implied volatility, is around a 12% move this week and about a 15% move for the month. Now, historically, Palantir tends to surprise the market, and it actually has moved greater than 17% when they've delivered on a really good earnings event. So here's what it's going to take to go a little higher on Palantir today. They need an earnings beat, even stronger forward guidance, accelerating, or we need the details of that potential $10 billion contract. Those are the things that Wall Street is looking for to push the stock even higher. Of course, if there is the slightest miss, everyone knows that Palantir is priced to perfection and it has a lot of room down. How do we figure out how low it could go or how high it could go? Well, that IV, that potential priced in 15% move. That would roughly give Palantir a price range of around $130 to $135 on the low end, sub 140, or $175 to $180 on the high end. That is your price range for the move today. And by the time I get this video out, it should be moving quickly one of those two directions. Now, I'm going to give you another hot stock today. I'm going to briefly go over some relevant news stories. I'm going to take you into a couple charts, and we're going to look at whether or not the SPY is going to continue to pull back. If you got yourself bearishly positioned on Friday, you're a little bit nervous today as we got a pop. I'm going to take you into the charts, and we're going to look at the likelihood of whether or not we will pull back some more or climb from here. And I'm going to show you a stock that I got into Friday that I alerted the Stocks with Josh Pro Trading community that's already up 20% today and has earnings later this week on Thursday. And I think it's got more room to the upside. I'm going to go through that with you. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like, hit the subscribe. If you need help trading these choppy markets, what we do on this page is we follow the charts. I think price is truth. Wicks on the candles express the emotion of the markets. We dive into the momentum indicators to get a sense of the strength, but we don't try to get ahead of any of it. We try to wait for the market to simply tell us what it wants to do, and then we believe it and we go with the trend. That's the game plan in a nutshell. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for hitting the like and the subscribe. Okay, we're going to kick things off by initially going into the SPY and looking at the scenario of, are we going to continue that trend that occurred on Friday due to that very, very bad jobs data that got someone fired? Trump reacted to the bad data, and all the pundits speculated that if Fed Jerome Powell had had correct data, we might have already gotten an interest rate. Well, the market still has to sort this out, and there's still a degree of uncertainty, but the belief that we were going to get some rate cuts definitely spiked on Friday, but the market has to measure whether it's going to be too little, too late. Let's go look at that SPY. Okay, we're looking at daily candles on the S&P 500, and the red line there is the 50-day moving average. I talked about the fact that when we got the golden cross, 70% of the time within 2 months, the S&P 500 would come back and test that 50-day moving average. And I thought that the market would come back and actually continue its up move. There's no indication at the moment that the market's going to fall apart. Well, we got pretty close to that 50-day moving average, dropping from last week's high of around 640 all the way down to around 618, but we jumped today. And so a lot of people are trying to figure out, where is this market going? It seems to be dead center to the current price range, and that's 100% true. This may have just been a temporary dead cat bounce. I personally believe that the market will come back and hit this 612. That has typically been the pattern, but the markets have been running strong and it hasn't come back and even gotten close to the 50-day moving average. This was the closest it got and it jumped. But personally, I believe that we are going to see greater volatility. We're going to see a lot of rotation in the market. We're going to see winners and losers. We're going to see companies like Palantir have at least a 15% move. I am bullish for the month of August. I think we're just going to come back test previous resistance. 612 used to be previous resistance. We're going to possibly pop then. That's when the bigger decisions and the bigger positions will have to be taken in confidence that the market will go back to climbing. It's going to be a little bit scary in August, but I believe that ultimately by the end of August, we're going to find ourselves higher. Again, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. What do you think is going to happen in the month of August? All right, let's quickly talk about the Stocks with Josh Discord. This morning, half an hour before the market opened, I dropped in my pro trading community, ChartGoat University, my A+ trade setups. And I have to highlight the success of the Tesla technicals because they were just so spot on. Let me share with you what I predicted and let me show you what it actually did. So before the market opened, I predicted that we would run up potentially to 312, that we would face rejection there, and that we would pull back to 303.20, and that this is where it would likely bounce. And the accuracy is obviously spot on. We hit a high of 312.13, and we hit a low of 303.18. Those are the types of A+ trade setups that I give the community 5 days a week, half an hour before the market opens. And I don't want to lead you to believe that just because that was so accurate, it was super easy to trade. Whenever you put money to risk, it's scary and it's hard. When you see your options up 10, 20, 30%, you want to lock in that money, and it's often hard to hold to 50, 60, 70, or 80, even if you have a great trade plan. But some folks are going into Wall Street each and every day with no trade plan. Stop doing that. Come over to the Stocks with Josh Discord. You can follow me in my A+ trade setups. Absolutely accurate today again. If you want to connect there, go to the website. It's the name of the show. All you have to do is add www.stockswithjosh.com. Come check it out. We've got a ton of earnings this week. Tuesday, we've got AMD, BP, Open, and Snap. I got a lot of opinions on AMD. Let me know which of those you'd like me to cover tomorrow before earnings report. Now, on Friday in my live trade session, I notified the community that I was going to be doing a ton of buying right at market close. And I gave my hot list of stocks that I had been charting and watching. I gave that to the community in GOAT alerts. Two of them absolutely ripped today, and one of them was one of our big winners for July, AMPX. This thing was up 20%, and I don't think it's done moving higher. They're reporting earnings this week, Thursday, after the market closes, and I think that even though there's a ton of risk around this small cap, unprofitable company, I still think this one is hot and worth watching, and it bounced exactly where I thought it might bounce. Let me take you into the chart to let you know what I'm going to be watching for this to play out profitably. I told everybody that if it closed a candle beneath 792, it was going to flush. Where would it flush to? My estimation was right here at around $6. It came down as low as $6.07, but this was also my heavy buy zone, which I alerted in the Stocks with Josh Discord as one of the plays that I thought was really hot going into this week and going into Monday. And this bad boy jumped up 20%. Now, it is at a critical point because this $7.92 range is an area of resistance. If we can consolidate right beneath it tomorrow and push through it, as we get closer to earnings, my up target for this is $8.80 to $9.90. And here's the bottom line. AMPX was a huge July winner. I'm expecting it to pay the bills in August as well. Let me know if you're riding AMPX with me. The other one that was super hot today, which was also given Friday at market close, was BBAI. Now that one popped 10%. And if you remember, in July, it was a little bit of a slower mover, but I still have big expectations for BBAI. Let me know in the comment section if you're in either of these plays. Right now, they're up really nicely. Both of these have the opportunity of a short squeeze continuation as we move towards earnings, as well as quick profit dumps. And so I advise you to use a stop loss. Today, since we had such a huge move up on all the stocks that I alerted as buys on Friday, I'm going to go through and I'm going to drop a list of recommended stop losses. But they're not a suggestion for what you should buy, sell, or hold. You need to do your own due diligence. I'm simply showing people what I'm doing with my money and how I interpret the charts. Let me know what you think of these two plays. I think at the moment they're working very nicely from Friday till today. I'm going to leave it right there. Peace and blessings, my friends. I'll see you in the next video.